Good morning, students. Let's discuss the next topic that comes under principles of management. And the next topic today we are going to discuss is nature feature of management principles. Then what are the characteristics of management principles? And the next topic is what are the importance of management principles. Right, students? You have already studied the 14 principles of management as given by Henry Fayol now. You have already studied and learned the 4 principles given by Frederick Winslow Taylor, right, in the form of scientific management principles, and 7 techniques also. Right, students? Today we are going to decide the next topic, that is known as characteristics of management principles. Now students, characteristics of management principles and the next topic, importance of management principles, they become easy to you now because you have already studied the principles of Henry Fayol and you have already studied the principle of Frederick Winslow Taylor. बेस अब आपको क्लियर है स्टूडेंट्स, तो अब आपके लिए ये आसानी हो जाएगी इसको समझने में और याद करने में. सो लेट डिस्कस वन बाय वन स्टूडेंट्स. What are the characteristics of management principle? That is the very first feature or characteristics of management principle is they are universally applicable. First is universal application. It means management principles are universally applicable. Business, non-business organization, government, schools, clubs, hospitals, in each and every organization management principles are applied. Right, students, I hope it is very much clear to you. So management principles are applicable in every form of organization. Right, students? So principle of division of work. Right, students, you have understood now the principle of division of work is applicable, right, students, in all types of organization as per the nature and size of the organization. Principle of division of work may you have studied that the work are to be divided and subdivided into small jobs because the entire work cannot be done by one individual in any company, factory, firm, organizations or any institutions. Right, students? So universally applicable. The very first feature is principles of management are universal applicable. Right? Example, principle of division of work is applicable in all types of organization as per the nature and size of the organization. Right, students, the very first characteristics is clear to you. The second one is general guidelines. Students, principles of management give general guidelines to managers. They are not the ready-made solution. I repeat, students, they are not the ready-made solutions. Principles of management, they are not the ready-made solution. They only can help the managers जिनसे उनका काम हल्का हो जाए. They only guide the managers, but they do not provide any ready-made solution or static solution, students. Right, students? So, for example, principle of fair remuneration. You have already understood the principle of fair remuneration as given by the Henry Fayol. Principle of fair remuneration deals on फेयर और प्रॉपर सैलरी टू एम्प्लॉयज. भाई ये तो समझ में आता है कि भाई जो हेनरी फ्योल का प्रिंसिपल है फेयर रेम्युनरेशन, वो ये कहता है कि फेयर वेजेस और सैलरी मिलनी चाहिए एम्प्लॉयज को. बट स्टूडेंट्स, ऑन द पार्ट ऑफ मैनेजमेंट हमें ये भी ध्यान रखना है कि इट इज विद इन द पेइंग कैपेसिटी ऑफ द कंपनी टू पे. अगर कंपनी की पेइंग कैपेसिटी ही नहीं है फेयर वेजेस और सैलरीज को पे करने की, तो वो मैक्सिमम वेजेस और सैलरीज कहां से पे करेंगे. राइट, स्टूडेंट्स? सो जनरल गाइडलाइंस. Principles of fair remuneration deals on fair or proper salary to employees, but the amount of salary depends upon the nature and financial capacity of the company. Of course, the amount of salary depend करती है the nature and financial capacity of the company. अगर कंपनी की financial capacity नहीं होगी तो वो इतनी सैलरी कहाँ से देगी अपने एम्प्लॉयज को. ये डिसाइड करते हुए वो अपनी सैलरी देगी कि उसकी फाइनेंशियल कैपेसिटी कितनी है. That comes under general guidelines. I hope the second characteristics is very much clear to you, students. Now come to the third characteristics, formed by practice and experimentation. Of course, students, management principles are formed on the basis of practice and experimentation. Right, students? Practice किसने करी थी? Henry Fayol ने. Henry Fayol की 14 principles are based on practice, जबकि Frederick Winslow Taylor के 4 principles or 7 techniques are based on experimentation. That's why Henry Fayol principles are known as general principles of management and Frederick Winslow Taylor principles and techniques are known as scientific management principles and scientific management techniques. I hope this is very much clear to you, students. फाउंड बाय प्रैक्टिस एंड एक्सपेरिमेंट। इन प्रिंसिपल के ऊपर बहुत प्रैक्टिस हुई है एज द बेसिस ऑफ हेनरी फ्यूल प्रिंसिपल्स, और इन प्रिंसिपल्स के ऊपर बहुत एक्सपेरिमेंट्स हुए एज द बेसिस ऑफ फ्रेडरिक वेंसलो टेलर प्रिंसिपल्स एंड फ्रेडरिक वेंसलो टेलर टेक्निक्स। So let's discuss the third characteristics of management principles. Derivation of management principles on the basis of observation and experimentation. If the organization is not followed the principle of discipline, it cannot achieve its objectives. यहाँ पर किसका एग्जाम्पल दिया हुआ है? प्रिंसिपल ऑफ डिसिप्लिन का एग्जाम्पल दिया हुआ है। डिसिप्लिन, you have already learned the principle of discipline as propounded by Henry Fayol. Principle of discipline suggests fair and clear agreements between management and employees. Right, students? Smooth working of an organization requires discipline. Right, students? If anyone does not follow discipline in the organization, then judicious application of penalties are there. I hope this is very much clear to you. Come to the fourth characteristics of principles of management, that is flexible. Students, principles of management are not flexible. They have to be changed as per the changing conditions. They are modified as per the need and requirement of the company. They have to be changed as per the situation of the company arises. So, management principles are flexible. They are not static or rigid. Right, students? So, let's discuss the fourth characteristics of principles of management, that is known as flexible. These principles are not set of static or rigid statement. While applying principle of centralization and decentralization, decision regarding extent of centralization depends on the competency and efficiency of the employees. Centralization or decentralization कहाँ लगाना है, कब लगाना है, depends upon the company's competency and the efficiency of the employees. You have already learned the principle of centralization and decentralization that comes under Henry Fayol. Centralization power remains with top level management and decentralization power has to be distributed in all the levels of management, students. सेंट्रलाइजेशन बेटा जहाँ पर कंपनी छोटी है, जहाँ पे एक डिपार्टमेंट अकेले सारा काम कर सकता है, जहाँ पर एम्प्लॉयज कम है वहां पर अप्लाई होता है. बट द प्रिंसिपल ऑफ डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन हैज टू बी एप्लीकेबल व्हेन द कंपनी इज लार्ज. राइट स्टूडेंट्स? Because the power of sharing authority has to be distributed in all the three levels of management, that is top level, middle level and lower level. Centralization means power has to be remained in top level management, and decentralization power has to be distributed in all the levels of management. Centralization is applicable in small companies and decentralization is applicable in mainly large companies. Here the entire work cannot be done by one individual, one manager or one department. So this is supposed to be the fourth characteristic, that is known as flexible. Now come to the another, that is known as the fifth characteristics of management, that is known as contingent and dependent. This is supposed to be very important point student. ये बोर्ड में 1 मार्क्स का भी आ जाता है. I repeat students, ये बोर्ड में 1 मार्क का भी फीचर पूछ लिया जाता है on the basis of case study, contingent on dependent. Right students? These principles are applied on the basis of the nature of the company. जो हेनरी फ्यूल के प्रिंसिपल्स हैं स्टूडेंट्स और एफ.डब्ल्यू. टेलर के प्रिंसिपल्स हैं, these principles are applied on the basis of the nature of the company. Right? So let's discuss contingent and dependent. The application of management principles is dependent upon the nature of the organization. Right students? For example, principle of esprit de corps. Right students? Principle of esprit de corps you have already studied under the 14 principles of management, that is the last principle as given by the Henry Fayol, that is known as esprit de corps. Right students? Or union is strength is very much applicable where the work is carried out by a group of people, where it is not applicable in companies where the work is performed by individual and not by a group. Right students? Where the work are to be made in a group, where work are to be treated in a group, where the work are to be done in a group, then the principle of esprit de corps is applicable. राइट स्टूडेंट्स? जहाँ पर बेटा एक ही पर्सन है या एक ही डिपार्टमेंट है काम करने के लिए, वहां पर इंडिविजुअल्स ज्यादा हैं, वहां पर डिपार्टमेंट्स कम है, ग्रुप्स कम है, तो वहां पर एस्पिरिट डी कॉर्प प्रिंसिपल यूज नहीं होगा. I hope this is very much clear to you, students. Mainly behavioral. Right, students? These principles helps the manager for better understanding. These principles helps the manager for better working conditions in the organization. Right, student? That's why these principles are mainly behavioral. These principles helps the manager to cope up with the financial and non-financial resources and bringing together the financial and non-financial resources together so that the company's goal, target, profit and maximum prosperity leads to the company. So mainly behavioral. Principles of management enable a better understanding of the relationship between human and physical resources in achieving organizational goals. For example, principle of order. Right, students, you have already studied principle of order. There are two orders, material order and social order. Material order क्या कहता है students? As propounded by the Henry Fayol, a place for everything and everything in its place. Social order means a place for everyone and everyone in its right place. So this principle joins the physical and human resources together with the condition material order and social order. A place for everyone and everyone in its place, that is social order. A place for everything and everything in its right place, that is going to be material order. Right, students, I hope mainly behavior very much clear to you. Now come to the next feature, that is known as cause and effect relationship. When the principle is applied in a particular situation, that is the cause, and the result of the application of that principle is the effect. I repeat, students, cause and effect relationship. When the principle is applied to a particular situation, that is the cause, and the result of the application of that principle is the effect. Right, students? So this principle is based on cause and effect relationship because it increases the management ability, managerial ability in the organization. Let's discuss, students. When a principle is applied to a particular situation, is known as cause, and the result of application of the principle is called effect. Example, unity of command. Management principle increases managerial ability. Unity of command principle क्या कहता था हेनरी फ्योल का स्टूडेंट्स कि if there are more than one boss, then employee become confused कि वो किसका काम पहले करे. There must be one boss and one subordinate. If the subordinate is having more than one boss, he get confused कि whose order must be executed first. Cause and effect relationship. I hope the 7 feature characteristics of management principles are very much clear to you. Now come to the importance of management principles. What are the importance of management principles? Let's discuss the first point, providing managers with useful insight into reality. Right, students? These principles helps the manager to face the reality and improving the working conditions in the organization. Right, students? So let's discuss providing managers with useful insight into reality. Management principles guide managers to take right decisions. Right, students? Management principles guide करते हैं managers को to take right decisions at the right time by improving their knowledge, ability and understanding of managerial situations. Management principles guide करते हैं, help करते हैं manager को in the right situation in a right time so that the right decision can be taken by the manager, right? और बेटा उनकी knowledge, understanding और ability increase हो. Right, students? For example, authority and responsibility. Authority and responsibility principle आपने हेनरी फ्यूल में पढ़ा था. Authority दी जाती है, responsibility बन जाती है. Authority and responsibility are both go hand in hand. There must be priority between authority and responsibility. So the very first importance is very much clear to you, providing managers with useful insight into reality. Management principles guide managers to take right decision at right time by improving their knowledge, ability and understanding of managerial situation. Example, authority and responsibility. Second importance is, students, optimum utilization of resources. With the use of the management principle, there must be maximum use of the human and non-human resources in the organization. Management principles aims at maximizes utilization of human and physical resources so that maximum benefit are achieved with minimum cost. So that maximum benefit are achieved with minimum cost. जब भी स्टूडेंट्स ये प्रिंसिपल्स कंपनी के अंदर लगेंगे तो रिसोर्सेज का बेस्ट पॉसिबल यूज होगा. रिसोर्सेज कौन सी हैं? human resource or beta non-human resource. It can be further classified into 5M: man, machine, material, money, method. Man, machine, material, money, method. Right, students? For example, unity of command, unity of direction, order and initiative. Whenever these principles are applied in the organization, management resources are get maximum utilized. Third, effective administration. These principles are based on the basis of top level management. Of course, the efficiency of top level management has increased. So let's discuss. The management principles act as guidelines to form various administrative policies to have systematic working in the organization. These principles guide the manager to frame the better policies for the organization. These principles helps the management, top level management, to frame the best possible use of resources and the maximum benefit gives from the blueprint to the organizational employees. So let's discuss effective administration. The management principles act as guidelines to form various administrative policies to have systematic working in the organization. For example, the principle of unity of command, unity of direction, scalar chain leads to systematic working in the organization and smooth functioning in the organization. These principle leads to systematic working in the organization and these principle leads to smooth working in the organization. Right, students, come to fourth one, meeting changing environment requirement. These principles can be changed with the changing conditions in the organization. These principles can be modified as per the changes takes place in the organization. So let's discuss this important, students. Meeting changing environment requirements. Management principles helps managers in meeting changing environment requirements because they can be modified according to the changes taking place in the environment. Because management principles are flexible. Right, students? Scientific decision. Right, students? Scientific decision में क्या है, student? Management principles are based on science, logic. You have already studied the 4 principles of management as propounded by F.W. Taylor. Science, not rule of thumb. Harmony, not discord. Cooperation, not individualism. Development of each and every person to their greatest efficiency and prosperity. Right, students? So, scientific decisions. These principles are also based on logic. For example, science not rule of thumb. बेटा science not rule of thumb principle क्या कहता है? Science not rule of thumb. ये प्रिंसिपल ये कहता है कि जो भी काम है कंपनी के अंदर वो सिस्टमेटिक, साइंटिफिक और लॉजिकल तरीके से होना चाहिए. नॉट रूल ऑफ थंब. रूल ऑफ थंब का मतलब होता है हिट, ट्रायल, एरर और मिस मेथड के ऊपर बेस्ड नहीं होना चाहिए. कंपनी के अंदर कोई भी काम, जो भी कंपनी के अंदर काम है वो लॉजिकल, सिस्टमेटिक और साइंटिफिक वे में होना चाहिए. उसने बेटा 3 कंडीशंस दी थी इसके अंदर, साइंटिफिक डिसीजन के अंदर. द वेरी फर्स्ट इज टू डिसाइड स्टैंडर्ड टाइम रिक्वायर्ड फॉर अ पर्टिकुलर जॉब. राइट स्टूडेंट्स, टू डिटरमाइन द स्टैंडर्ड टाइम रिक्वायर्ड फॉर अ पर्टिकुलर जॉब. उसके बाद उसने स्टूडेंट्स दी थी टू डिटरमाइन द डेली वर्क फॉर द वर्कर्स. टू डिटरमाइन द डेली वर्क फॉर द वर्कर्स. उसके बाद स्टूडेंट्स उसमें दिया था टू सिलेक्ट स्टैंडर्ड टूल्स, इक्विपमेंट्स एंड हेल्दी वर्किंग कंडीशंस. टू सिलेक्ट स्टैंडर्ड टूल्स and healthy working conditions in the organization. So students, there are 3 things as given by the F.W. Taylor in science not rule of thumb method mein. The very first is, students, is to determining the standard time required for a particular job. Second, to determine daily work for the workers. Third, to select standard tools and equipments, working conditions, etc. These all things are the basic and logical way. Right, students, I hope the 5th importance is very much clear to you. Now come to the last one, that is known as management, education, training and research. Now students, these principles are based on management, education, training and research. After using these principles, इन principles के ऊपर बहुत training हुई है, बहुत education हुई है, बहुत research हुई है, तभी जाकर बेटा ये कंपनी के अंदर यूज किए जाते हैं, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर यूज किए जाते हैं. एंड स्टूडेंट्स, फॉर MBA, for the professional courses like MBA and BBA at the beginners level, you have all studied the management principle as propounded by Henry Fayol or as propounded by F.W. Taylor in a large scale. बेटा अभी जो आपने प्रिंसिपल्स पढ़े हैं वो तो आपने एक नटशेल में पढ़े हैं. These principles अभी आप उसको लार्ज स्केल में पढ़ेंगे at the beginners level of in a professional course like BBA or MBA. So these management, education, training and research. Let's study this, students. These are used as a basis of management, training, education and research. Professional courses like MBA and BBA, etc. also teach these principles as a part of their curriculum at the beginners level. Right, students? Entrance of management. Right, students? Entrance of management is through aptitude test. जो भी एंट्रेंस होता है मैनेजमेंट का वो किसमें होता है बेटा? थ्रू एप्टीट्यूड टेस्ट में होता है. राइट स्टूडेंट्स? सो दीज आर द इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ मैनेजमेंट प्रिंसिपल्स. द वेरी फर्स्ट इज प्रोवाइडिंग मैनेजर्स विद यूजफुल इंसाइट इनटू रियलिटी. मैनेजमेंट प्रिंसिपल्स मैनेजर को गाइड करते हैं डिसीजन मेकिंग में, सो दैट दे कैन टेक द डिसीजन इन द राइट क्वांटिटी एट राइट टाइम एंड इंप्रूविंग देयर मैनेजरियल एबिलिटी. राइट स्टूडेंट्स? सेकंड इज ऑप्टिमम यूटिलाइजेशन ऑफ रिसोर्सेज. रिसोर्सेज का मैक्सिमम यूटिलाइजेशन, फिजिकल एंड नॉन फिजिकल रिसोर्सेज एंड नॉन फिजिकल रिसोर्सेज और ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज का मैक्सिमम यूटिलाइजेशन. राइट स्टूडेंट्स? दीज प्रिंसिपल्स यूनिटी ऑफ कमांड, यूनिटी ऑफ डायरेक्शन, ऑर्डर एंड इनिशिएटिव, they give maximum possible use of resources by bringing together the human and non-human resources together, so that the company work will be in the best possible way and company goal target will be achieved on time. Next is meeting changing and effective administration. Of course students, top level management का काम आसान हो जाता है जब भी ये 14 principles company में use होते हैं. Right students? The management principle act as guidelines to form various administrative policies to have systematic working in the organization. Right students? What are those principles? Those principles are the principle of unity of command, unity of direction, scalar chain, leads to the systematic working in the organization and smooth functioning in the organization. Right students? The next is students, meeting changing environment requirement. These principles can be changed or modified according to the changing conditions in the organization. Whenever there is any change, these principles helps the changes takes place in the organization. Economical change, political change, social change, technological change and legal change. जिसको हम बोलते हैं बेटा EPSTL. Whenever these changes occurs in the organization, these principles helps the company, the management in coping with the rapid changes. So management principles helps the manager in meeting changing environment requirement because they can modify it according to the changes taking place in the environment because principles are flexible. Right students? Next is scientific decisions. These principles are based on science. Right students? Scientific principles, they are rigid. For example, science not rule of thumb method. Right students? Science not rule of thumb method. And the last is management, education, training and research. These principles के ऊपर बहुत ट्रेनिंग, एजुकेशन और रिसर्च हुई है, तब जाके बेटा मैनेजमेंट प्रिंसिपल्स बने हैं. बीबीए और एमबीए लेवल पर ये प्रिंसिपल्स एट द बिगिनर्स लेवल पढ़ाए जाते हैं. आई होप स्टूडेंट्स, दीज आर वेरी मच क्लियर टू यू. इफ यू फाइंड एनी डिफिकल्टी यू कैन आस्क मी एनी टाइम.